Welcome to Create Your Happy, the podcast that empowers conscious women in life, relationship, and business. I'm your host, Christy Holt, happiness hussy and conscious funpreneur on a mission to change the world one beautiful soul at a time. Now get ready, because on this very special bonus season, we are going to take your entrepreneurial journey to a whole nother level. These uncut conversations are designed to support you as you unleash your entrepreneurial brilliance upon the world. My incredible guests and I have come together with a shared vision to empower women to fully embrace their humanness, find their unique voice, and lead with love. All right, gorgeous, it's time to get curious and become inspired. It's time to create your happy. Welcome to this week's masterclass, all about the selfish system. And today I have with me Emily. And Emily Katz is she's so many things, a dear friend of mine, first of all, I have to say, but she is also a wellness consultant, coach and mentor, founder and creator of the Selfish System, which is absolutely what we're going to be talking about today. And let's just leave it at that, because I want to let Emily share a little bit more about her and her background, because I know how that always is like the juiciest part of like, how did you get to where you are today? What contributed and what kind of impact are you making? So welcome, Emily. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Come on and let us know a little bit about who you are and what you're up to. And then let's dive into this juicy conversation.
Okay, so hi, and Christy, I've missed your face and your voice. We haven't seen each other in too long. Okay, so yeah, who am I and where am I at? What am I doing? Okay, so I'm Emily Katz, and I'm a wellness consultant, coach, and mentor, as you said. What got me to where I am? I'm trying to think where to start. I always do this. Basically, I struggled a lot with my own mental health, and it started with that. It started with the fact that I was struggling and didn't know what to do and felt very helpless and disempowered and desperate and dependent on like someone else helping me, saving me, giving me the answers kind of thing. And so after years and years of therapy and meds and treatments and nothing really working, I decided to take matters into my own hands. And then, I kind of deep dove into self-development and self-help and self-healing. And it was just, I think it took me a really long time. It was very slow progress, but there was quite a few things that gradually led up to like a rebirth, as I refer to it. So when I think what happened for me, I wonder, I'm really curious to hear about other people's journeys, because I'm gonna start interviewing other people who have like healed themselves and like reversed their diagnoses, because I'm curious to see if it all starts in the same place. For me, it was very much getting inspired and believing that I can change, and then finding a purpose, like meaning. And identity and meaning. And it was about when I realized I wanted to help other people, and I was like, I should help myself first so that I can then help other people. And so that's kind of the catalyst. They're like, oh wow, I need to help myself first if I want to help other people. But it really was the moment of like realizing I want to help others. So that's kind of what started me on this whole path. I got sober, started reversing my diagnoses, getting better. I've been 7 years sober, symptom-free, med-free, and creating the life of my dreams.
Yeah.
I decided I wanted to help solve really big problems, like big societal kind of problems. I'm very ambitious. And so I got my master's in organizational behavior and development. And then I realized when COVID hit that I wanted to help people like now and not continue in the academic route. I was going to do PhD, etc., in collective trauma. And like, I really was deep diving into societal generational trauma kind of issues. And then I realized that I could help people now. When COVID came, I was just like, no, I've got to do something now. So I've actually applied my formal like business psychology training to the individual, and that's like the Selfish System is based on literally problem solving, but personal problems as opposed to organizational problems. Because this is an organization too.
It is. Right. And,
yeah.
Anybody who listens to my podcast will know that the relationship we have with ourselves is the foundation to all of the rest. Right. And so this is the same thing playing out. This relationship that you have with yourself is going to impact the relationship that you have with your business, the relationships that you have with your client, the relationships that you're going to have with your spouse, your family, your coworkers, your team, your neighbors, your children, if I didn't say that already, anybody, everybody, and the relationship that you have with your body, with the world at large, with the media, right? It's so foundational and so important. So I was curious, share with us what you would say the biggest challenge or struggle that your system has helped you to overcome. Because I know there's quite a few in there, quite a few challenges you've overcome, but
help me overcome or clients?
You first.
Okay, so me. The biggest challenge that it has helped me overcome, so many. I think it's probably, I think my PTSD. I was diagnosed with post-trauma and with borderline. Now, I do feel that they're intertwined because I do feel that the traditional, like Western medicine style, like categories of diagnoses, it literally is just like there's a category of symptoms, so it has a name. There's a category of symptoms, so that has a name. It's all part of the same kind of thing. And eventually, I actually think it was probably complex PTSD that I had, but this was like 14 years ago and in the Middle East, so it was PTSD. But yeah, I think probably post-trauma. That's probably the biggest one that I've had to overcome. So yeah.
And you've overcome quite a lot of things, I know, from talking with you, how far you've come and some of the massive challenges that you have managed to overcome. Now, I have a feeling that you're itching to share something from a client. So if you want to share also what might have come to mind as far as what you've seen the power of the system be able to create, the overcoming that it has resulted in, do feel free to share that as well. I mean, who doesn't love a little story about belief? And then I actually want to talk to you a little bit about belief.
Okay, cool. But that's good because, okay, it is about beliefs, right?
Yeah.
So much is mindset. But so, yeah, I've just had some very, very just awesome wins this week, like client wins. And I've never been one to really like share, that in businesses here, like testimonials and share testimonials. And that's never felt like, I don't know, that always felt like tooting your own horn, right? But this time it landed differently because I have someone in my program who she's agreed that I share her win because she understands how like awesome it is. So she came in with like crippling anxiety and chronic pain. And the pain was like, pain in her shoulders and her neck. And she said that she had to take painkillers every day. And for the month of June, which is now, she has been pain-free, -2 days. And she knows what happened on, like, the thing is now, the beauty of the model is that it gives you the understanding of yourself so that you know what's going on. First thing, that takes away half of the chaos, right? Because when you don't know what's happening, that amplifies the fear, with fear of the unknown, right?
Yep.
So when you know what's happening, it's already like 50% lessened. It's like reduced, right? It's like, okay, now I know what's happening. It's not that scary, like, because I get it. But then we were able to together get to the root cause, because that's step 1 and step 2. It's like, let's get to the root cause. And so she figured out what the actual problem was. And then she was able to get educated on that, step 3. And then she was able to implement, Step 4, like solution. So literally, and the tools that she actually found about this weren't necessarily my tools that I gave her. Like I have the model, but she actually then went out and was proactive. It's all about empowering you to educate yourself, to go and find the tools, go and find the specialists or the experts or the whatever on whatever it is that you found as the root cause. Because we constantly deal with the symptoms, thinking that's the problem. Like it's like, you struggle with anxiety, you struggle with sleep, you struggle with weight, you struggle with alcohol, you struggle with whatever it is, but that's a symptom. It is my first lesson, I think, in organizational consulting, like professional problem solving. It's not the symptom isn't the problem. There's a deeper problem, and so that's like the first piece to it. And so she found something that works for her, and she's literally been pain-free for the month of June, which is ridiculous. Like when I saw on the group call, she was just like, she looked like a different person. And it was just like, dude, what happened? She's like, I'm pain-free. And oh my God, I wanted to cry. It was so cool.
Isn't it just one of the most incredible things to witness someone stepping into their power? And listen, you never gave away your power. If anybody's watching or listening, you are so powerful. It's just that sometimes we forget as humans, right? And we can get so distracted by all of the illusion, all of the things out there outside of ourselves that actually are ultimately all a distraction from the truth, which is within us, right? We are already resourced. We already have within us access to the tools and the power and everything that we need to literally create the most freaking amazing human experience possible. It's just that we sometimes forget. And we don't know what to do. And we can get so overwhelmed and wrapped up in the distraction and the overwhelm itself and the emotions that we then aren't operating from a place of clarity. So I think, if I'm understanding correctly, what your system does is it creates a framework for this clarity so that you're not just trapped in the, oh my gosh, like there's so many things and there's so many feelings and I'm getting stuck in the thought feelings and it's a whole story and mumbo jumbo in my mind. And now I'm stuck in analysis paralysis and I don't know what to do. I'm just sitting in fear. So instead of having that cycle play over and over and over, now you're equipped with a really simple action plan that you can implement so that when life's uncertainty and unknown things, challenges, obstacles, whatever it may be, come your way, it's not that you're going to avoid them, because that's frankly not part of the human experience. They're going to come our way, but it's so that you can learn to ride the waves of life with ease and flow, so that the riptide and whatever, I don't know, the undercurrent doesn't take you out, right? So that you can actually just enjoy this beautiful gift of the life
100%.
Experience.
100%. And it's so funny because I have found myself in recent months, like calling up a friend saying, I think I called you up as well a couple of times, like, I'm stuck with something, I'm so stuck. And then it's just like, hold on, I have a model for this. Like, why don't you use your model? Like, we forget that we have the tools and resources. But what I do want to just mention to that point is that I think for many of us, if we are in like the coaching kind of wellness space, then we do have that awareness in some shape or form that we are our own best resource, right? That we've got this. We just need to, like, sometimes it's a bit messy to get there. But the thing is that what I really aim to do is really help people realize that, because so many people don't. We're not taught that we are our own best resource, that we are the source of our own safety. In the decade that I went to therapy, to traditional psychotherapy, not one of them, maybe I was unlucky, but not one of them told me that I could teach myself and that I could help myself and that I could find the answers, and that I have access. Like, no one empowered me, right? It was traditional therapy, and it's probably my biggest criticism about it, is that it kept me disempowered.
Yeah.
And so what I really like, my system is very much an educational system. It really is about educating you to empower yourself. Like, it's educating you and empowering you and equipping you to empower yourself. Like, that, even if it's something that you don't have a tool for, that you're like, I really don't know how to, like, do this, I don't feel that I have a tool for this, then you are you're not so desperate and helpless and self-berating and abusive, right? You're not putting yourself down like, I'm so useless and I'm such a failure and you're not in that space of like all that negativity and feeling so lost. You're like, it's okay, I've got this, I'll figure it out. Like, I want to give you because you have you, but you don't realize that. So it's like, and I know you say reminding, right? Because we at one point we had ourselves, but I do feel that many people don't even realize that. So it's like rehabilitating the relationship with yourself. It is reconnecting you with you, but we're not even aware that we had ourselves. Like it's not in people's even language and awareness, So it's not about reminding you that you have you. It's about you can have you. This is possible. Like you're stuck with you for the rest of your life. You're the one person that's never going to leave. You might as well commit to that relationship because it's the best one-on-one.
If you're not willing to commit to creating a good relationship with yourself, how can you expect anyone else to, right? And so it's tricky because this relationship with yourself is so foundational and it really permeates all areas of life. So to me, in my personal experience of it, the stronger I am within myself, the stronger this relationship and this connection is with myself, the more everything external falls into alignment with what I know to be true of myself. And so this suggestion of remembering isn't, how do I want to say this? I'm like formulating a thought here. It does come back to this belief in yourself, right? Because this idea of remembering is just really you owning what is already there. And the reminder is that you don't actually have to do or have something external to yourself in order to have that experience. You are already her. You don't have to necessarily become someone else or go back in time to be who you were previously, because that's not possible. We're always growing, always evolving. There's a new version of you in every moment. But the point being that you have everything that you need, right? You're not broken. There's not something wrong with you. You don't need to be fixed. You just need to step into the wholeness that is you.
Yes, but I am just very much aware of the fact that the language and semantics, like it's going to land differently for different people. And I feel that there is this space where many people who struggle with mental health specifically, just because that's where I came from.
Yeah.
Space, they don't feel that they have everything and they have all the answers and they
of course you don't feel like it. That is the grand illusion of it all, isn't it? Doesn't make it any less true that you are already all of these things. But if you don't believe it, and here we are cycling back to the belief component, if you don't believe that something is possible for you, then it likely isn't, right? Because when you don't believe something is possible, your actions are going to be in alignment with that belief. So while I know when you're stuck in the muck and you're buried in the shit, as it were, it doesn't look like there's a choice. It doesn't feel like there's a choice. It just feels like you're buried in shit. But I want to offer hope that there is always possibility, right? And just because we don't see it when we're in it doesn't mean it's not there. So getting some good support in our corner can help us to begin to see what's possible for us that we couldn't yet see on our own.
And 100%. And I also want to speak towards that point of belief. If we're honest, then it's, someone would say, then how can I believe it? I don't believe that I will get better. I don't believe that I will be a millionaire. I don't believe that I will have this incredible, like, if this like ideal future is so far away from your current reality, it's going to be very hard to bridge that gap. It's going to be like it's like, I don't believe it. I just don't believe that I'll even get that. How can I believe? It's like doing the affirmations that aren't believable. It's not going to work, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, the way that I would approach that is to break it down to small steps that are believable, right? So deconstruct that very distant, ideal kind of dream reality that you would wish for, but you really don't believe you'll ever get. Deconstruct it and figure out what about that do you want and why, and then how can you bring little pieces of it into your today life and make little bits nearer and nearer, and then like, because it's a you're in it for the long run, right? Like, this is why it's a commitment to build the relationship. It takes time, it takes years, but it doesn't have to take as long. It doesn't have to be as hard, which is what my model tries to help with, is to try and speed it up, because it doesn't
simplify it. Because we humans have a real way of overcomplicating things, and that's okay. But sometimes we just need to keep it simple, right? And do a more simplified approach. And as humans, like you mentioned, when we look too far ahead to something really big, it really can exacerbate the gap for us. So it can leave us just really feeling kind of crushed by the magnitude of the gap. And so we want to be careful not to do that. However, there's nuggets in that big vision that we can pull into our current present moment now to create the intention of creating that experience. And oftentimes what I have discovered just in myself is that if I have a big dream, it's often very much, it presents itself in a way that it is an external outcome, a goal, a result, but it's not actually the result or that specific outcome that I'm after. It's the experience of whatever that result will make me feel. And so instead of focusing on the goal, the outcome, I'm not really a big goals kind of gal. I'm more of an intentions kind of gal, because ultimately the outcome result, the feeling that you're going to have, is going to be fleeting if you're waiting for it to happen from that specific external thing. Now you take back control of yourself, you can start to create that experience all along the journey, all along the process. Now you're not just waiting for that end outcome, right? Now it's not just goal-oriented, I'll feel better when. You can start to feel a little bit better in the now moment every day while you're getting to those, tangible outcomes that you may desire. But you can create that experience now, right?
That exact thing
allows you to continually navigate and continue to create, even, along the way.
I have to say that literally, I exactly what you're speaking to. Don't know why I'm getting blurry. Exactly what you're speaking towards is something that I recently had, and you could, like, the 4 steps of my model, you can also say it's like I figured out what it was. I got investigated. I is the first one. Like, what it was that I wanted to feel. I discovered the second step, that it was to feel proud of myself. I really wanted, like, I was seeking to feel proud of myself. So then the third step is, again, getting curious, education. So it's like, how can I bring that into my today? How can I feel proud in today? And then application is the last step. And that was, okay, I'm proud of myself today already because of X or because of Y. And so, like, then I'm literally living the piece that I've been looking to feel, like I'm bringing it into my now. And it was a really big shift. It was just like, oh crap, I don't need to wait. Like, what if you don't need to wait to feel that? That's a big thing.
And in my personal experience, every time I've tried on the idea that I don't have to wait and then I can experience and feel it and now create those emotions within myself, I have been able to do that. So it's an interesting experience. So anyone watching, listening, try it on. Think about what it is that you really wish to create. What experience do you want to have? Those end goals, those things that you're waiting for to come to fruition before you're going to feel a type of way. What type of way is it that you want to feel? And then can you bring that back into today, into this now moment? How can you start creating them for yourself? Because we're actually very incredible humans. Like, our imagination is so powerful. We can literally create with our thoughts. And so sometimes I have caught myself creating things I did not want with my thoughts. I don't know about anybody else, but this has happened to me, I don't know, at least a handful of times. Okay, I'm totally kidding. A whole lot of times, too many to count, where my thoughts are actually creating overwhelm or anxiety
So, and these are common things in today's world. We're all living, with a lot of pressure from the world at large. We're living largely in survival mode, right? Which is not our most efficient or our most capable mode of living. But we're here because we've got this chronic stress, we've got pain, we've got all this conditioning, and we just are trying to survive. So I know what I've done to get myself out of these thinking patterns and these habits of thinking things that cause anxiety and overwhelm, which I am no stranger to. But I would love to hear how you apply your model specifically to these areas, because I think that they are sort of insidious, where I think it's like not that big of a deal. Like everyone kind of feels overwhelmed, or everyone has some level of like worry in their life. But how can we really overcome those so that they're no longer keeping us down or stuck or small or away from all of those dreams that we truly desire? Because they can very quickly kind of derail us, get us stuck in analysis paralysis. We don't take action. We end up feeling like the imposter, or we just plain don't feel good enough. So I would love to hear how you apply your model to anxiety or overwhelm, so that maybe it can be helpful to people listening that are struggling with those things.
100%. So I personally had postnatal anxiety, self-diagnosed, but I was pretty sure it was postnatal anxiety. When my first son was born, I had prepared myself for giving birth. Like I had done all my homework. I had done the hypnobirthing thing. Like I was ready. It was like I studied for the exam and I aced it. The birth was great. Natural birth, like hypnobirth part of it. It was amazing. Horrible, but amazing, right? And the thing is that the minute the baby was out, the baby, Leo, the minute he came out, I was just like, the high and this and that. And then I was like, and what now?
Right.
I forgot to prepare for what came after the birth. And so the first 6 months, the first month, I didn't leave the room. Like I didn't leave the bedroom. And my husband was getting a bit concerned, and my mom and everything. And I was just like barking, like, leave me alone. I cannot do anything. I have this live human, little tiny human that I have to look after. I cannot handle any other form of stimulation or task or anything. Like I barely ate. I was just like, I go out, I poop, I eat, I shower. That's it. Like the rest of the time I was in the bedroom, and I was just like, I have to keep this thing alive. I don't know what I'm doing. And so, yeah, I really struggled a little bit with the anxiety around.
I can see why with that thought pattern for sure, right?
Yeah, it was just like, but it was okay. So I used my model and I got to the bottom of the anxiety. Like, what anxiety is fear-based. First of all, I know this because of the work that I do, but if you didn't know, anxiety is fear-based, but you can Google anxiety and you'll figure that one out pretty quick, right? Yeah. So anxiety is fear-based. So I was like, what am I afraid of? What is the fear? What is the root cause, right? Investigation, discovery, step 1, step 2. The discovery was that I was afraid to fuck up, but on a very childhood wounded kind of traumatized level, where my parents fucked up with a few things.
They all have, because
I think everyone's parents yes, we're all humans. I know I'm fucking up. I'm not going to lie, and it's okay to swear, right? Yes, okay. Yeah. So it's like it's Christy, of course I am. So basically I realized that my fear was very much rooted in a fear of failing as a mother. I think I vowed to myself as a child, or as an adolescent at least, that I would be the best mom ever, but it was in a core wound kind of place. Anyway, so then I was like, okay, how do I help myself heal this fear, this wound? And so education about that fear would be the third step. I happen to have some tools that I already found before that I knew that I applied and to help me with that. And so I just applied the tool that I had. It was trigger work. So I was just working on the triggers. So every day, I was being triggered. This fear was coming up, and I was just working through it every day. And so after about 6 months, it got better. I was able to manage the symptom of anxiety. It wasn't, I think I'm still I am a moderately like anxious mom, but it's not postnatal anxiety anymore. It's not an actual problem or issue. I was able to like heal that and work through it. So yeah, so it's awareness, obviously, but the model like gave me that framework. So the point of the framework as well, which is something that I wanted to speak to before you asked the question, it's that beyond giving you a strategy to solve the problem, it kind of, the more you use it, the more you're trusting yourself. You're able to like rely on yourself and depend on yourself, and self-trust, self-leadership, self-agency, it's a big deal. It's self-worth, it's self-esteem, it's self-confidence, it's self-care, it's self-love, it's all of it. And I feel that it's like a byproduct of of this work that we do. For me, it's with the model, and for you, it's, I think, with your spiral stopper and the work that you do as well, right? It's like being able to really know that you've got yourself, you've got your own back. Like, I've got this, I can figure this out, I can solve my own problems, I can, it's, yeah, I think that the byproduct of it, in a way, the consequence of using their framework is profound, basically.
This confidence, this self-trust, this knowing who you are and trusting yourself to make the right decisions for you is a complete fucking game changer, because no longer are you needing to rely on everyone else's thoughts and opinions, right? They no longer have to phase you when you're adequately resourced and you do have this level of self-trust to say, well, first of all, I'm going to fuck up. And that is actually okay. It's part of the journey, right? And being able to navigate those quote unquote failures, because I actually don't think anything is a failure. It's all a lesson. It's all information coming up for us to learn and grow. But we can navigate these things that would feel like a mistake or a failure in a way that actually helps us to evolve and grow, instead of forcing us smaller back inside of this box of this illusion of safety, of staying small, that is actually keeping us from living our best life at the same time, right? So this stepping into your confident, your self-trust, you're going to wash away that doubt that says, I don't know what I want, because you're going to get clear on what you want. The more you strip away the things that you don't want, the things that are blocking you or limiting you or keeping you stuck, the more it becomes clear of what your path is meant to be. And I think that's a really exciting part of it, is finding out your purpose, or just figuring out what kind of incredible human experiences you want to create. Like that is you in your power.
I think that, like, if I can express this like the byproduct, the consequence of it even more so, is that it came to me, I think, in the winter. I felt something that resembled depression. Like, I felt a sadness and I felt this like heavy feeling. And I was like, oh, I know what this is. This is what I used to call depression. But right now, because of where I am today and everything that I know about myself today, and the resources and the models and the strategies and the tools and the experiences and all that, like, it's not crash. It's like, it's not making me crash. It's not knocking down my whole like me house. It's just like, I put it in a room and I'm holding space for it. And so that room right now, that room feels sad, but the rest of the me house is still there and it's still functional and it's still good. Like, everything's fine. Like, I was still highly functional and like doing the day-to-day thing and not having to suppress any symptoms or do anything about it. It was just like, I was holding space for it. When it came up, I was able to feel it. I was able to sit with it. It wasn't debilitating. It wasn't, and I was just like, oh, wow, like, yeah, I'm feeling some sadness there. There's something going on, but I've got it. Like, it's okay. Like, I can handle this. It wasn't like, and it's not that I think it was a different, like, it's not that the depression itself or the feeling itself was less than what I would have felt in the past. It was my response to it, kind of thing.
You weren't letting it take hold.
Exactly.
And I think I had a thought formulating that I really wanted to share off of this, because I think that the way that we approach the uncomfortable feelings greatly impacts the way that they affect us. And so let me provide more context to this. If we try to resist, or on the flip side, if we try to cling to or hang on to the good things, if we try to resist the uncomfortable things, it works against us. Clinging makes things even more effervescent and just disappear because we want it so and we're so attached to it. The resistance, that attachment on the flip side, I don't want to feel this, that's uncomfortable, and I don't want to let this into my world. Those things actually block us from our natural state, which is actually for all of this energy simply to flow through us. So whether we're clinging or we're resisting, we're creating an energy blockage. And so over time, we may think that we are becoming masters at blocking down this uncomfortable energy, toxic positivity, and bypassing and all that bullshit. If it's still coming up sideways, you're still feeling really triggered or upset by something someone else did, or by strangers on the internet, or just essentially by life playing out not according to your preferences, if that's creating a big emotional response, there is probably something well below the surface that is just requiring you to take a look at. And I think in the society that we're in, because we're all about Band-Aid solutions and like slapping a Band-Aid on top of the symptom, we don't take the time to go back to that root cause, which is the blockage, which is this energy not being able to flow easily through you. It's getting stuck. It's creating stagnant energy. It's coming out sideways. If we don't intentionally do something to clear up, to create that flow through our bodies, we are going to continue to struggle. And so I think what having a system such as yours, such as mine, allows us to do is create the space so that things can flow, so that we don't have this strong attachment to not feeling the bad things and to feeling so much of the good things, but rather we feel complete and whole in our human experience, where we observe, oh, those are some feelings of sadness. Today I'm seeing that there are some overwhelming thoughts in my mind. This awareness from an observer standpoint really allows you to say, oh, look, this is what's going on inside of my meat suit, inside of my asshole mind, inside of my body, and really get an understanding of it, because that's where we can now start to shift it, right? When we're aware of what's going on and why it's happening that way, now we're empowered. Now we have the tools. The next step, though, is taking it from knowing to doing. Where it's super helpful to have a nice step-by-step action plan so that you can play out those aligned action steps to really care for yourself, to really learn how to navigate, to really not over-identify with those things that actually are limiting. And so you can step into your own sovereignty, right? Your own empowered sovereignty to go out there and create whatever it is in this next moment, next moment, right? What it is that you wish to experience.
100%. I mean, the thing is that like my system, it's like two-tiered, right? So there's the 4-step, the framework, but then there's also the foundation. So there's like 2 parts to it, and it is very much educational, as I mentioned. So it's like, it is the knowledge, right? Before you implement, you need to understand, you need to know how it works before you can fix it. It's going to be that much harder to fix something if you don't know how it works. And again,
you don't know what you don't know, right?
Exactly. But so it's like I found that there are these 4 main pillars to self-development. It's kind of across the board. You see these 4 main areas come up again and again. And so curiosity is one of them, right? And it's getting curious, it's asking questions, it's investigating, it's questioning your beliefs. Back to the beliefs thing, it's like, question that. You have a belief about something, and is that belief serving you? Like at the root cause, usually the symptom is something up here, but when you go to the root cause, often it's rooted in a belief that we have, right? A self-limiting belief. Oh my God, it's because I think I'm not ready. It's because I think I'm not good enough. It's because I think I'm blah, 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 And so beliefs is a big part of it. But yeah, so There are four main pillars that I found. But what I do also want to say, you mentioned so many things. I'm like, okay. So there's the resistance. So Carl Rogers, he a renowned psychologist, he said that the paradox of change is acceptance. Like the prerequisite of change is acceptance. So it's like the paradox of change. And it is like, when you fight it, you feed it, right? So like the more you resist something, it's going to keep coming up. And so, yeah, when we suppress our symptoms and like when we, pill pushing society, it's like, we're just going to silence the symptom, but the symptom is there for a reason. It's trying to communicate to us. So we're saying, shut up. We don't want to listen to you. And it's going to keep, and so someone else said as well, like, if you don't listen to your body whisper, you're going to hear it scream. And so it's going to manifest in another way, potentially even physically. Like a lot of people with chronic pain, like my client, that was because she wasn't listening to the whispers, because she didn't know how to, though. We're not taught how to listen to ourselves, right? We're actually conditioned out of listening to ourselves. As kids, we did listen to ourselves. Something was wrong, we would shout, we would scream, or whatever. We're like, don't do that.
You're told to stop.
Don't scream. Sit down, be quiet. Don't listen to your body and what your body wants to do and how it wants to express itself. That's wrong. Sitting down and being quiet, do what I'm telling you to do. That's right. What you're doing, So we're conditioned literally to not trust ourselves, to disconnect from our intuition, to stop responding to our bodies as it, and it's fascinating raising kids.
We're missing so much. Like we're missing so much internal wisdom from ourselves because we're taught, we're conditioned to not
programmed out of us. Yeah.
And so we're doing a lot of things that are actually very counterproductive, counterintuitive, because we think what we have been taught. I mean, we have no reason to really question, is it wrong, until we come to the point where like, well, wait a minute, this isn't working. Let me take a pause here and see what is actually below the surface. And then we start to realize, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? Anger, that's bad. You're expressing your anger. You're shouting at me. Shut up. Stop it. Sit down. Be quiet. Anger is a bad thing. You're not allowed, and then like, I'm angry at you, and that's scary. So like anger is this whole like negative thing, right? So then when you feel angry and you're not allowed to express your anger, what do? You find different ways to express your anger, right?
Probably
and so then
talking bad about yourself, right? And about how terrible you are for expressing anger and feeling angry feelings. And it compounds and it creates this like,
not knowing how to self-soothe. So then how do we self-soothe in other ways? What is available to us? We will eat. We will comfort eat. We will, we will smoke. We will drink. We will avoid.
We will avoid. I'm such a fan of Gabor Mate's work. He talks so extensively about addiction and how it absolutely makes sense. I just want to leave this one idea here that we all want to feel good. It's like our innate human way. We want to feel good. And so we will do whatever we think will create that experience of this comfort and feeling at least okayish, right? It's more about the familiar than what's actually really great for us. But the sense of comfort and feeling okayish at any cost to avoid the extreme discomforts. And some of those things we have really been taught as children like are really wrong or bad or things that we shouldn't do. And so we are going through our lives as adults still with this limited way of thinking that, to feel angry is bad. And so, hello, since I'm a human being who feels all range of emotions, I absolutely feel angry from time to time. So I guess I'm a bad person, right? So we just start to over-identify with this and we make it mean all of these things about ourselves that aren't true. And that is shame, right? Because we are actually such beautiful expressions of all of the emotions. And when we can stop shutting down the ones that we were told are uncomfortable or that we shouldn't, or that we're bad or wrong for feeling, if we can approach ourselves, first of all, with this just big hand of self-compassion, because we are just doing the best that we can with the resources and understanding that we have. And there is absolutely no amount of guilt or shame that is required to move forward from here. This is just simply an awareness that as humans, we are doing the best we can at any given time. And if it's not working out, we can become empowered to do things differently, right? This is the incredible intelligence that we have. And oh my God, if we don't have the internet connecting us to people all over the world to help us increase our awareness, increase our understanding, and get the support that we might need to take that, theoretical knowledge into experiential knowledge, then I don't know, we're living in quite a time. Honestly, the answers are all at our fingertips. Like, it is very exciting. So how do we start moving from this theoretical into lived experience? Well, this is putting your action steps into play, right? Baby steps every single day. What is the next most loving thing I can do for myself? And I think, a lot of people do get tripped up on some of this stuff because society has told them that it's selfish to accept themselves. They have this sort of irrational fear around, if I accept myself, then won't I become complacent? Won't I become lazy? Won't I become self-centered and all focused about me, and I won't give a crap about anyone else? But I think those fears are completely unfounded, because what I have experienced is that when people feel good and they feel happy and they have this joy and this love in them overflowing, they're not lazy. They're not complacent. They're not selfish. They're not unmotivated. They are actually more of all of those things that they were seeking previously, maybe by means of like sort of trying to guilt or shame or trash talk themselves into taking action. But those things actually don't work. It's all an illusion that is going to ever work. And the compassion is actually the catalyst to say, hey, you know what? Actually, I'm okay. I am already good enough as I am. And that actually creates more forward momentum than the not believing that you're good enough and that you have to keep striving and working and doing all the things. That actually keeps you stagnant. So sometimes it's even a shift in perspective and understanding, like, okay, well, are the beliefs that I'm holding around this propelling me towards my goals? Or are they really keeping me stuck? And how can I shift out of them? What kind of first step would you suggest to someone who's kind of at this cusp of trying to figure out, like, hey, I'm kind of seeing things aren't playing out exactly the way that I'd planned. And we'll say pretty much anything could be included in here. Anything that you're feeling like, I wish this were different. I would prefer a different experience. I would like to feel more of this thing or less of this thing. What's the first step, Emily? What's the very first step?
I was gonna say, before you even asked, I was going to suggest, like, how do we shift the perspective was what I was gonna like chime in on. Yeah. It's understanding where you're at. Like, it's understanding why you even have that perspective from the get-go. So as we said, it's about understanding the programming, the conditioning, right? So like, one of the pillars is conditioning. It is literally understanding the programming, right? So you want to know what you're working with and also understand why you think that. So if you think selfish is a bad thing, get curious about that and investigate what, like, because it's good for the economy if we think selfish is bad, because that's going to keep us sick and self, negative self-perception, so that we keep buying shit to try and make ourselves feel better and blah 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 blah. Like, it's good for business. It's good for consumerism if we don't like ourselves. There's another reason. Selfish is, it's also the way others around us have been. We learn by example, right? So if the people around us, if someone's selfish, then we're like, we don't want to be like that. We don't want to be arrogant. We don't want to be, there's a fine line between selfish and arrogance and abuse and things like that. And then there's also the other influence that we have, which is, you've got to be self-sacrificial. That's a good thing, especially for women, especially for mothers, right? Good girl
conditioning. Ooh, yeah.
But it's like, you have to realize that there's so many different elements that have played this part in the programming, right? So first of all, you understand that it's not yours. Yeah. You were given this program, you were given this conditioning, right? You've adopted it, you've internalized it, you've inherited it, whatever. It's social conditioning, generational trauma, it's the root of it all. And so
it's not you, it's not who you are.
Yeah, it's not. And so first of all, realizing that the belief you have isn't yours. Now you can choose, it's taking the power back. It's empowering yourself. It's like, okay, this belief wasn't mine to begin with. So I took it on when I didn't realize I could control that. So like now I can choose.
Yeah.
Do I want to believe this, or do I want to believe something else? What do I want to believe? How do I then figure out what I want to believe? Okay, what are my values? What do I actually care about? What do I like? And you feel, and this is connecting with yourself, right? It's like feeling into what do you care about? What matters to you? Then you can from there figure out what it is that you believe. If it's something that you feel you don't have enough experience in, so get the experience, try different things, figure out what it is that you do believe. Does it feel right? Does it not feel right? It's all about tapping into your feelings and using that as the compass, using that as the guide, and reconnecting with yourself in that way. So yeah, that's my that's what I believe.
I definitely agree. Our emotions are intended to be an inner compass to direct us towards the things that aren't aligned.
They serve a purpose. If they didn't serve a purpose, we wouldn't have emotions. Take advantage of emotions, use them.
They are very, very useful information containing little nuggets. Now the problem is all that additional meaning that we tend to add to it is the problem. It's not the emotion. And that's ultimately what I talk about in my book about the spiral stopper, right? Is really sort of detaching the stories and the judgments from the feeling of the emotion, because we actually need to, like we talked about, not resist. We need to create space for that to flow through. So that means acknowledging it, right? Like you said, I'm observing that there's some angry thoughts or some overwhelming thoughts coming up.
Name that. Identify. Do you know how many people don't know how to identify their emotions? Because we're never taught to. We're taught not to identify emotions. There's an emotion wheel, by the way, online, which I love.
Absolutely. If anyone out there has not seen the emotion wheel, check it out. It's super helpful. Honestly, just for drilling down a little deeper to find out what you might be experiencing below sort of the more surface kind of emotions, it can really help give you a little bit more clarity. And by getting to know yourself, by understanding what is there, what is running below the surface, the emotions, they're directing you, they're giving you information. And this is going to help build your confidence and your self-trust, because they give you clarity, right? So this all works together in this beautiful forward trajectory, propelling system, if we can just get unstuck from that starting point, right? And having that awareness that this isn't your fault. It's nothing to do with blame or anything like that. It's just about stepping up, taking radical responsibility right here in this moment. I want to experience something different. And so I'm going to figure out what I can do to make a change so that I can create that experience for myself.
And sorry, you cut out there at the end, but I did just want to say that for me, it's then also about discernment, right? So is the emotion an emotion that is helpful here? It's like, this is something that is communicating to me something that I need to be listening to, or is it an emotion that is a result of, a reaction to something? Like, it's discerning that it's a big piece. A big piece is really discernment for me. Hold on, I can better articulate that. You were saying, there was something that you were saying about the emotions piece, and it brought up to me because a lot of the times we give our power away to the emotions. They take over. They have the control, right? But when we take back our power and we realize we're the ones in control and we're listening to the emotions, we can then decide, is this an emotion that, like, what is this emotion telling me, and how can I, work with it as opposed to fight it, kind of thing. Like, we don't want to act on our emotions all the time. It's not about, oh, I feel angry, let's scream at this person. Like that. Yeah. That's not really what we mean, right? But you'd be surprised. Some people will get kind of lost in that. Like, oh, but when can I tell when it is and when it isn't? Or is it good anger? Is it bad anger? Is it, and so that there's a lot of navigating with the emotions as well, because we're not taught how to navigate our emotions. So it can be very overwhelming. A lot of the times I found with my clients specifically that it can sometimes feel like it's like getting harder before it gets better, and that it's overwhelming before it gets clearer. And like, because the minute you start listening then things start sounding louder. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's like the awareness.
I'm listening, so I'm turning the volume up, but then the volume's up. And that can be scary. That can be, disorienting. It's just like, is it supposed to feel this bad? But it's just like, yes, you're feeling. Well done. Welcome to the world of feelings,
Yeah, it is.
Sometimes it can be a bit tricky with navigating.
Yeah, it definitely can be challenging for sure to navigate that, especially when, like you say, we weren't really taught. We were actually taught the opposite, to stuff that away and to keep it quiet. And so when it starts coming up, it can feel so loud and can feel so overwhelming. But again, in those moments, it's really important to remember that you are not your emotions, right? That you are simply the observer of them. And if we can stay out of the storytelling, which is easier said than done, which again, this is what my book is about. If we can stay out of the storytelling mode, if we can stop attaching all unnecessary meaning and judgments to the emotion itself is pure and it can flow through. It's when we start to attach or resist or any of these things that it keeps it around longer and keeps it in more stagnant energy. And so if we want to experience true emotional freedom, well, first of all, that means we have to create the capacity to feel it all and to feel it in a way that doesn't over-identify ourselves with it, right? Because that can be where the tricky part is the stories and the judgments end up in us over-identifying. And what that means, just to be really clear about that, is instead of just thinking, there's some angry thoughts in my mind, you're thinking, I'm an angry asshole, for example, right? It can escalate really quickly. And I know that I have been there where I have started to feel a certain type of way and immediately glommed onto my identification as that thing. Oh, it's just me being classic me again. And I know we have all done this. To me, I think that the crucial, if you're struggling with discernment, I want to help you to maybe be a little bit more aware. And of course, increased awareness. With increased awareness comes increased responsibility, and you can't unsee what you've seen. So take this all with a grain of salt, but when you know more, you can do better with it. The key thing that differentiates whether your emotion is something you should lean into and go with or versus not is often whether it's fear driven. Because if it's fear driven, it's not going to support you. There's no amount of storytelling on the back end that's going to bring that back around into something that's going to feel good for you. It's going to continuously bring up more fears, more worries, more anxiety, more stories, more judgments. If that emotion is coming from a place of love, then you're not going to have all of these blocks. It's going to be able to flow. Now, I'm not saying all emotions are going to be this clear, but if you can sense fear versus love in it, you're going to be able to discern, is this my true intuition coming through, or is this my ego trying to keep me safe? And you will see the ego hopping in with all of its what ifs. What if this happens? What if this worst case scenario happens kind of scenarios? And so then you can start to identify more easily, oh, this is just my ego trying to keep me safe. Thank you, ego. But I no longer require your services here because I am over here consciously choosing to operate out of my intention, which is to feel good, to feel love, to spread love, to make an impact, to leave a legacy, to, whatever that looks like for you. So
I literally spoke to a client about this like just before we came on, and it was speaking to that acceptance of the ego that's just trying to protect you and keep you safe. And I was saying that you got to make it again, it's Carl Rogers, right? It's the acceptance in order to change. But it has to be genuine. It's you have to realize that our egos are trying to keep us safe. And yes, that very often results in ironically hurting us
right?
and hurting us, right? It's like, I always use the example of comfort eating. It's like, ego, you're making me fat. This isn't helping me. Like, stop it. You make me feel sick. You're making me whatever. But the thing is that I really managed to shift something for myself when I realized this piece is that with the example of addiction, comfort eating or whatever, it's an act of self-love, right? Like the ego trying to protect you, it's keeping you safe. Safe is love. Love is safety. It's like, it is self-loving. So if you see, you're overweight and you keep like beating yourself up about the fact that you're overweight, then it's like, well, this is self-love. This is me loving myself. I can find a different way that's healthier to love myself. But at the end of the day, it's me loving myself. It's self-soothing. It is coping. It is surviving. It is protecting. It is whatever. Because at the end of the day, we're driven to stay safe, right? To survive. And so once you realize that ego, right? It's not, I took it a step further with my client, and I was, because she was doing the, thank you, ego, but I'm safe and I'm good now. But it's like, thank you, ego, for keeping me safe. I'm here, I'm listening, I got you, I get it. Like, it's really genuinely kind of thanking the ego and your thinking mind, or your ego, whatever it is that is playing out here. To really thank it and to really appreciate it. And then even the next step is apologize for like beating it up the whole time and getting angry with it. And it's like, I'm so sorry that I was such a bitch for so long, trying to suppress you and silence you. And like, I'm listening now. I'm here and I'm listening. What have you got to say? Let's hear it. Like, I'm here for you and I'm here for me, and let's do that. We got this. And then that's a different approach. That's a different feeling. That's a different vibe. That's like, you can feel it when you hear it, right? It's like, it's not, thank you, I'm good now, you can go. It is, thanks. And I'm listening. Okay, I'm here, like it's a different kind of energy,
Yeah. And definitely lots of people talk about killing the ego. We don't want to do that. We need the ego. It is our survival mechanism, but it is a matter of getting on board with it, right? Using it for the intentions we desire. It's about us using it for our highest and best good, not it using us to stay safe and small. And so it's just flipping that around and really integrating all of the incredible capacities that our ego allows us. Our critical thinking mind is a product of this. And so where would we be without that? We do need this part of us, and we just want to embrace it all and bring it all on board.
A little kind of tip is, I like to personify these mechanisms, right? So like, my ego is called Bruno, and he's the bodyguard of the me house, right? And so like, I'm really grateful to Bruno. He's very stubborn. He takes his job very, very seriously. He's a really good bodyguard. He will not let thoughts in that are unfamiliar. They're unsafe, so if it's like, you're great, you got this, and that's unfamiliar, he's like, nope, you're not coming in, and he'll like keep the thoughts that he knows inside, right? And so it's like the I'm not good enough, and I'm, whatever, he'll keep those in because he knows those.
He's a bouncer. He's like, you're not on the list, you're not getting in.
You in, you out, and he really takes his job seriously. And so you have to work with him. You have to, well, mine's a him, right? It's a Bruno. So it's like, I'm like, Bruno, you're great. You're doing a great, great, great job. Thank you. I love you. You got to keep this up. Keep doing this. But you know what? That one, I know it's unfamiliar, but it's okay. We like that. It's a good one. Coming. This one, it's like, it literally is empowerment again, right? It's taking control and saying this in, this out. I'm the one that's choosing. You work for me, kind of thing, But teamwork, right? Let's do this. And it's practice. It's repetition. Because then it becomes familiar over time. And then Bruno will be like, oh yeah, I know you. In you go, Yeah.
And the more that we do this when we're feeling as good as possible, that's actually the best time to be practicing some of these things. We can really cement them into our experience and, really retrain Bruno to let in those that we want in and keep out those that we don't want in, which is a bit of a shift from the autopilot process. So practicing day to day when we're feeling good is a great time to sort of practice setting our intentions, focusing our mind on that which we want to include more of, so that when we hit a bump, inevitably, that we're equipped, we're resourced, we're empowered. We know, hey, I've been practicing this and I know what to do now. It's not as scary because we now have a way out, right? We've got a strategy to apply. And so now it's not just uncertainty. It's okay, I'm ready to show up and practice what I've been, actually put into play, what I've been practicing and working on.
100%.
I would love for you to...
But it even works for those who don't feel, because I know people who don't feel good at all, like at all day long, right? We know those people. And so it is a good tool, and it does work even on your down.
Yeah, I mean, building it all the time. I just mean that it's not the time to just pull up your bootstraps when you're in crisis. That's the hard time to do it. It's just building these strategies into your daily life so that they become a little bit more natural, right? So that when we really hit a speed bump, we're ready. We know what we have to do.
100%.
Share with us your upcoming offers. And I know you have an incredible masterclass to share, but also let us know what other offers that you might have and how people can get in touch with you if they are just dying to know how to start implementing your plan, your strategy, your selfish system.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so I do one-on-ones. It is a mentorship. It's coaching, consulting, and mentorship. Why I call myself, by the way, a consultant, just to clarify, it's because I have taken the consulting role, like business consulting role, and I apply it to the individual, as I mentioned earlier. So it's not just that I coach you and get you from A to B, it's that I consult for you on the problem. We customize, tailor the solution to your needs. If needed, I refer you to other people. If the part of the solution or the whole solution is something that's outside of the scope of my work, like that's what a consultant does, refers to the experts, the right people, right? So it isn't just like, I'm the expert and I'm the solution. No, it's I help you find a solution for you, because there is no one size fits all. And so that's like an important piece to mention. But yeah, part of that obviously is also coaching and mentoring, because lived experience, I've achieved probably what it is that you want to set out to achieve, if it's reversing your diagnosis and changing something in your in your wellness journey. So it is a mentorship, and that includes access to me in between sessions as well, because one of the things that I struggled with in therapy is that you have to wait in between sessions.
Yeah, me too.
I'm a big believer in you have, if you need, I'm here, and so there's audio and text support throughout working with me. On top of the one-on-ones, I do my mentorship program, and that is, I'm so proud of it, and I love it. It really is. It's a crash course in self-development, so it is educational in nature, and it's built like a syllabus as well, like a curriculum. So you get the education piece, you get the foundation, you get the framework, and then you also get a toolbox, and I've got guest experts in on the toolbox piece as well. And I keep updating it as I go. I'm always learning more. It's constantly getting updated. And then there's throughout the whole year, there's group calls, weekly group calls, Q&As, access to me, etc. So that's my baby, because that one is also very affordable. So I love that one. Another criticism I have of traditional therapy is how bloody expensive it is. And so, yeah, my group program has allowed me to really make this accessible to many. You can also see what I'm up to in my Facebook group, The Selfish Society. I'm working also on podcasts, potentially YouTube channel, things like that. So I do want to have more free resources out there. But for now, it's the Facebook group. That's about it, I think.
Lots of exciting things in the works, and I'm sure many, many more exciting things in process of coming out along the way. So we're all excited to see where you take this. And I think I'm excited to hear from anybody watching, listening, live, replay, no matter which way or how, what you are going to apply this strategy to, of really just accepting it, right? Of getting to know what you're dealing with. Then strategizing, getting curious, what is going on below the surface, getting yourself situated, resourced, adequately empowered to go out there and use that information to create change, and then absolutely just taking that action. So what does that look like for all of you today? I would love to hear. And if you have any questions or feedback, we would, of course, welcome that. We would love to hear what landed or what big aha moments you might have taken from this. We love your feedback, love your questions. We love to see you having transformational experiences in your life too. That is just so fun to witness. So any other final thoughts, Emily, or anything else that you'd like to leave the listeners with at this final moment?
Yeah, just realize that you are your own best resource, that you are the source of your own safety. I think realizing that was a really big one for me, but we hugely underestimate ourselves, like hugely. We are programmed to underestimate ourselves. And so we're far more capable than we think. And that applies to every single one of us. And thank you, Christy. You're amazing. And I love you.
Love you too.
And thank you for having me.
And everybody out there, we love you too. And as always, an invitation. Let's go do some epic shit, shall we? Yeah.
Are you ready to break free from self-doubt and embrace a life of empowerment? Introducing the Unstuck for Women Daily Self-Discovery Journal, the ultimate companion to my international best-selling book, Unstuck for Women. This beautifully designed journal will take you on a transformative 90-day journey of gratitude, self-discovery, and personal growth. Each day, you'll dive deep into powerful insights, prompts, and exercises that build confidence and self-love. Align your actions with your desired feeling state and watch as your life transforms. This journal is your key to unlocking the extraordinary woman within you. So get ready to embark on a journey of self-discovery and personal growth like never before. You can order your copy of the Unstuck for Women Daily Self-Discovery Journal today. Unleash your limitless potential. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Create Your Happy's special bonus season. I trust this real, raw, uncut conversation will fuel your inner fire and provide you with the practical action steps needed to propel you forward. It's time to unlock your path to consciously creating an impact and leaving your legacy. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and share with other women in your life who could use a little extra inspiration today. My guest and I would love to hear from you. You'll find the links to connect with us both in the show notes. And if you're ready to take your life, relationship, and business to the next level, I invite you to consider working with me one-on-one. Together, we'll up-level every aspect of your beautiful human journey to create the fulfilling relationships that you desire and deserve. Reach out to learn more about how we can embark on this transformative journey together. As always, get out there, have fun, be you, and create your happy.